I am going to try and get started while I'm also letting people into the waiting room. We'll see how effective I am at that. So I will start by saying, good evening, everyone, and welcome. In case you don't know, my name is Kathryn Harsha. I am the Artistic Director for Programming at Encore Creativity for Older Adults. And this session is a part of our Artistic Masterclass series, a series that we put on monthly and bring in experts from all across the country and in some cases world to bring us additional wisdom and to help with our lifelong learning. As you know, Encore Creativity's mission is it includes lifelong learning, wellness, and fun. And I know that tonight you are going to get all three of those components in one. I am delighted to introduce to you my friend and colleague. I think I get to call you a colleague now,
I
Kathryn.
think that's fair.
That's awesome. And just to keep things confusing, my friends, her name is also Kathryn, spelled the exact same way. And just to give you all a little bit of background, I have known Kathryn my entire life. I grew up next door to her, and I got to have just a little bit of musical wisdom as a child coming from next door. I think my room, the window in my room, opened up to your driveway, basically, right?
Yeah.
We were right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kathryn Kasper has been a part of my life and my musical upbringing. And I'm so excited for you to get to meet her a little bit and get some wisdom from her as well. So, just a little bit of background about Kathryn, and we'll talk about her um, training of her own and all of the amazing things she's done. Kathryn Kasper is Professor Emeritus of Voice at Bethel College in North Newton, Kansas. She has a bachelor's degree from Bethel, a master's from Wichita State University, and did her doctoral work at the University of Kansas. Um, Ms. Kasper has sung concerts widely in the US and Germany, and she moved to Paraguay in 2006 as a Fulbright Award recipient to work with UniNorte Opera. Am I saying that right, Kathryn?
UniNorte. UniNorte.
UniNorte. There we go. Subsequently, Kathryn began the voice program at the university there in 2008. Currently, Kathryn, you teach at the Instituto Superior de Bellas Artes, and I know I'm not
Bellas,
saying any of
bellas
that.
artes.
Bellas
Bellas artes.
See, we're going to learn some Spanish too, because friends, we are all singing in Spanish this semester, aren't we? Yes. Temporal, temporal, right? So Kathryn, you regularly prepare shows for CCPA, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Included are shows that you've done recently are Amahl and the Night Visitors, The Emperor's New Clothes, and the opera Rita, right, by Donizetti and many others. So, Kathryn, both musical theater and opera, you've worked in both, right?
Mhm.
And also, you prepare the voices for the choir, for the National Orchestra and the choir of the National Cathedral in that area. So you auditioned 1,700 singers. Friends, that's almost as many singers as we have at Encore for a choir when Pope Francis visited Paraguay in 2015. 1,700 singers you auditioned. I cannot wait to unpack that with you, Kathryn. 540 of them were selected, and you personally prepared those singers vocally for
Yeah.
that performance for the Pope. You have lived in Paraguay 9 months each year for the past 20 years with your husband, Arlo Casper. And I can't wait to talk about a little bit about Arlo as well, because you have your own theater technician and lighting expert living in your home with you. So, my friends, as you can tell just from a little bit of her bio, there is so much incredible art happening in so many corners of the world with Kathryn. And I can't wait for you to get to know her. So, Kathryn, tell us a little bit about the training that you got, both at Bethel, Wichita State, KU. Who were your influential teachers and what were your takeaways in the early stages of your training and career?
Okay. In my bachelor's at Bethel
Mhm.
College, all of the choir directors were the voice teachers also. In other words, their specialty was choir, not voice. Okay, so I virtually got no technique, none, absolute zero.
Mhm.
Okay, went and got my master's a little later, and I learned some things good, learned some things bad. You know, I mean, I one weekend I discovered if I lowered my tongue and pushed my larynx down with my tongue, I got a really dark quality in my voice. And my teacher, who was a bass, loved it. It was the worst thing that could have happened to me. I mean, talk about tension in the throat, but it was a great sound, you
Mhm.
know? But okay, then when I was about 50, I'm 85, by the way, right now. When I was about 50, I I was preparing a recital, and my pianist said, Kathryn, in these pitches up here about, E above octave above middle C and E and F, G, they are a little bit out of tune. And I was shocked because I was so proud of myself my whole life. I had never sung out of tune in my life. Okay. And I didn't hear it that it was out of tune. So I was a little burned out with teaching anyway. So I thought, okay, I'll go get my doctorate and I'll learn, somebody will teach me how to sing. Okay. So I went. Okay. My voice teacher one time in the class said to me, Kathryn, there isn't much resonance in your voice. And I said, okay. Okay. This was on a Friday. And so I went home in the weekend and I'm not a slough off. I'm going to work, I'm going to do it. Okay. So what I did was just push it all into here. And so I heard a lot of lovely resonance inside my face, my mask here, if you will, wish. Okay. Went back the next Monday, next week class. Is this any better? No, not really. That was the only direction I got.
Goodness.
Okay. So it was what I have then. Okay. What do you do? Okay. No one was helping me. So I knew, okay. Then there was a new book had come out by the name of Richard Miller is the professor. He was at Oberlin. I think he's gone by now. I don't know, but I think the book was published in '87, if I'm not right. At that point, when I was the chairman of NATS, National Association of Teachers of Singing, in Kansas, and I invited him to come to Kansas to do a workshop a day. And the faculty members in Kansas we'd do this once a year. We would sing for an expert and then, in a masterclass situation. Okay. So what I do, he seemed to have some good ideas. So I went 2 summers. I spent at least $1,000 going to these workshops of his. All right. I learned two things for $1,000. This is
Yeah.
pretty expensive per,
Okay.
per thing. Okay. One of them was as we were leaving the auditorium, a woman came up to him, and I was right next there. And she said, what is the movement? Okay. What is the movement when am I seen now? Is this
Yep.
okay?
You can
Okay.
back up one more step, but yeah, we can see you.
Okay. How do we do this? And he said, it's in and up. It wasn't even in the master class we had just spent 2 hours at. It was in the hallway afterwards. Okay, that was one thing I learned. That was worth $500. And then the other, it was an onset exercise, which is really very useful. Um, in an onset exercise, what you do, you just simply sing one note, take a breath. What you're doing is training the muscles. Okay, and that's Okay, so then after spending $1,000, I thought, okay, I'd better just start doing this myself.
Hmm.
So I started at that point. This was in the 90s. Oh yeah, mid 90s, not something like. I'm still singing recitals. I'm still da da da, and then and gradually in the last 20 years in Paraguay, I have been starting to teach more and more popular singers.
Hmm.
And I discovered popular singers have to use the same technique as a classical or lyric singer. And how do you do that? And so, uh, shall I continue with this story? Okay.
Yes, please. Because we've talked about this at Encore. We have chorale singers, right, who are doing classical and gospel and
Uh,
American songbook, but we also have an entire rock and roll program, Kathryn, and we have a Broadway program. So bring it on. Absolutely.
okay. And so I by now I teach more than 30 hours a week, and about half of those hours are in popular. And popular in Paraguay, they teach them very badly. It's very, very badly. And so no one really knows, so they all come to me. I teach some of the best popular singers in Paraguay, and there are some very fine ones.
Mhm.
Okay, last June, I said to one of my students, he took two classes a week. One was in classical and one was in popular. Okay. And I said, I really should write a book because I've really compressed what I know into a finite amount of material. And I know how to solve virtually every problem of a voice. Okay. And he said, why would you write a book? No one would buy it. Uh, and he said, but do videos, do videos. So then he started doing the videos for me. And if you watch any of those videos, he's the young man who comes in and sings a couple of times in, maybe in three or four,
Yes,
five of
yes,
the videos. He
yes.
sings. That's his name. His name is Alejandro Gonzalez. And and so my goal was to by the end of the year, by before we left for America, North America, that I would have 20 videos. And I did. There are 20 videos out there. Some of them have been seen by 15 people, some of them have been seen by 4,000 people. They're varied, depending on people's interests, of course. Okay, got home to North Newton, Kansas. Went to the retired faculty members reception at the president's home. Okay, and the president says to me, "Okay, Kathryn, you've got your videos. Now it's time to write your book." So in January, I wrote the book, and it will
Fantastic.
be out in a few weeks.
Fantastic. Okay,
Okay.
so I am so excited about this book and the videos. There's so much to unpack here, Kathryn. Can you back up for us for a minute, though? So you said it's in and up. Can
Yes.
you can you unpack that for us a little bit more? So almost everybody here, not necessarily all of us here are singers, but the vast majority of us are practicing at home, in rehearsals sometimes, or interested in the work that we're doing at Encore, right? We know that not everybody who joins these master classes are singers, but many of us are. So talk to us a little bit more about what you mean about in and up.
Okay. Uh, a long time ago, there was a book that came out. See, I've really never learned any technique. I have been I'd buy books. I'd look and find little things. Okay. So this one woman had this book and she used the hook breath. Now, maybe some of you singers are familiar with the hook breath. Now, the hook breath, okay, I'll back up a little bit again here. Okay, is the matter when you breathe into your pubic area. You so I taught that for many years. Okay, that's a lot of wasted energy, believe me. Okay, now if I when I breathe, when I inhale, the diaphragm needs to go down, right?
Mhm.
okay, which expands this area above. This is my waist here. Okay. Now, now we've got to get the air out. What is that? I raise the muscles here above my waist. This is my belly button, above my waist, keeping my ribs out, which the muscles push the viscera, which is the internal organs, they are internal organs, up against the diaphragm. And you have as long as you're maintaining the open position here, you control the exhalation of the air here. You put the air under more pressure. As we all know, air will always go where there is less pressure. By raising here and keeping this open, I put the air right above the diaphragm under more pressure. And if I don't close my throat, the air comes out with just making the sound. Now, is that clear? I don't know.
So it's when you're talking about in and up, you're talking about when you're inhaling. That's what you think.
No. When I'm exhaling. When I'm
Oh, when
exhaling.
you're exhaling, it's in and up.
In and up. Okay.
Ah, Kathryn.
Okay. Now, I'm going to inhale. Now watch right here. It got wider, right? The
Mm-hmm.
diaphragm is like a bowl, like sort of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's large. Okay. And when I inhale, it flattens the bowl a little bit, right?
Right.
And the ribs, as a result of the diaphragm moving like this, the ribs move out. Now, to get the air out, I raise in and up the muscles here, which push against the viscera, against the diaphragm, which pushes the diaphragm up, which puts the air right above the diaphragm under more pressure, and it goes out. If your throat is open.
It's so interesting because we tend to think about exhaling as something that's happening kind of from here, but you're talking about exhaling happening really where it's actually happening, right?
Yeah. Now there's an exercise we can do.
Hmm.
Okay, to get this feeling of it's this expansion at the diaphragm right here. Okay, the diaphragm's about. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Okay, here, touch right here, and now cough. Just to start a cough. You see, it gets hard here, doesn't it? That's the
Yep.
diaphragm. That is the rest of the diaphragm is underneath the ribs. It's within the ribs. Okay, so now if I bend over like this and I touch here and I inhale, you will feel the whole rib cage opens, the back and the sides. Okay, that's the inhalation. Now, see, we can't sing like this, but you see, what you do is, oh, 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 not letting this go. You see, you don't go, ah, ah. See, then I'm pushing the air out. I'm not pushing the air out. The air out is going out only because it's under more pressure than the ambient air in front of your mouth.
You have this all down to a science, my friend. I love this. And I love as you're giving examples, how many of us are like, I still have my hands around my diaphragm and we're all leaning forward.
Yeah. Okay, let me give you an exercise. Okay, now,
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, what I'm going to be doing right now, I'm leaning back in my chair. Okay,
As
my
no
feet are
choir
extended
director,
in front.
no choir director would ever allow this, Kathryn.
No, they will. Okay, watch. Now I'm going to do sit-ups. This is called a modified sit-up.
Okay.
Oh, oh, oh,
Interesting.
oh. Okay, you see, now what happens here? It's the core of the body is firm. It isn't tense.
Hmm.
You see, you can do it that way, or I can turn and see this when you do this way. You need to put your behind on the edge of the chair.
Hmm.
Okay, put your on the edge, the front edge of the chair. We do this in rehearsals all the time in Paraguay. There's many ways to teach. Okay, now I'm going to turn my chair to the side. Some people feel more comfortable. See, this way I can put my arm on the back of the chair.
Yeah, support. Yeah.
If you feel more secure that way, that's fine. Now, to expand this just a little bit more, okay, I'm in the middle of a rehearsal. I've been sitting there for 2 hours already, and 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 he's working with the basses, and here I am, okay. And now it's my turn to say, I simply raise like this, and I've got that support going.
Interesting.
You see, we don't need to sit like this the whole rehearsal.
Right. Right. Interesting. Yeah. Just it engages your core in so many
It
ways.
engages the core.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Okay. Questions. Questions are already coming in, Kathryn. You ready for this?
Yep.
All right. The first one says, are there any special tricks for creating greater vocal agility to transition more easily between registers, i.e., get those vocal folds to close the passaggio, right? So
Yes.
let's hold that for a minute because
Okay.
yes, but let's talk about the passaggio in a little bit. This one says, my voice teacher told me to support was shushing. When you say shush, that engages those stomach muscles. Does this sound like in and up? Is that kind of related?
Shh, shh. It's fine. Yeah, that's fine. I
Hmm.
just simply don't use it, but that's okay. It feels like it should work. Shh. Shh.
Right.
The important thing is that we don't want to get rigid. All right? Here, we don't want to be rigid here,
Hmm.
and we don't want to be rigid here at the larynx level.
Right.
So we
Right.
have to learn how to manage this while we're singing in a choir or singing a solo or whatever kind of a thing you want to do. Sing, you
Yeah.
know? Okay?
So somebody said, please demonstrate a few times with voice, which now you've done as we go back and forth as you're singing. Yes, this is
Yeah.
so good. Okay, the next person said, in and out. Sounds like the inhale is like the lateral expansion of the floating ribs, like expanding the bellows of an accordion. I love that visual. And the exhale is a vertical contraction by raising the diaphragm. And this person said, am I close?
Yeah, you're close. You're very, very close. This
Yeah.
is good. This is really good. Yeah. Uh, if the less complicated we can make things, the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so that, okay, let me give you one more example. I'm going to turn this of how I work with support. Okay, let's just pretend I got my Christmas trees on the floor here. Okay, can you see me?
It's February. You got months still, Kathryn. It's good. Yes, we can see you perfectly. That's great.
Okay, now I'm going to put my back against this. Okay,
Oh, against the
now
wall. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to put my feet in the front. I'm going to put feet, bend my knees, feet in the front, about 2 feet away from the wall. Okay,
Okay.
you can do this on a wall. I'm doing it on a corner of a big rock shrunk here. Okay, now push, keep your knees bent, and flatten your back against the wall so that there isn't a space here so that I can't put my fingers in there. Okay, which
Okay.
means I'm tilting my pelvis a little bit this way.
Hmm.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Now, a lot of people really like that exercise. They like it better than the chair.
The
But
chair
not everyone during a rehearsal can stand against a wall.
can
But
stand
it
against the wall.
is an option to learn that coordination. All of it, what we're dealing with, people, in total, if you think, okay, just think that you're an athlete, that you're playing basketball. Okay. And you do free throws. Okay, free throws. I can maybe say it.
I
And
got
how
you.
many times will you repeat that muscle memory so that when you get in a game and you're under pressure, the muscle memory takes over? This is exactly what we have to think of singers as athletes, because we have to repeat until we know that muscle memory perfectly, so that when get in a problem situation, things don't fall apart. Though you go back to the muscle memory, you don't think, oh, this sounds really bad. This is, you know what? Okay, rely on your technique.
I love that. Okay, so the next question is talk to us about the difference between support and rigidity. So the question, it says, avoiding rigidity in the core seems counter to keeping your core tight or supported, right? So what's the difference between tension and support?
Okay, all right, let's just try. Okay, okay. First of all, tense this part. Tense. Okay? Now, feel what is happening in your throat.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
throat. It's
Mhm,
tense, isn't it?
mhm.
Okay, see, this is the fallacy of a lot of support systems. Okay, now relax relax this part. Okay, what is your throat doing? Let's just relax. It just and it has no muscle memory at all. Okay, so what we have to do is to try to do this and prepare the throat at the same time. Those are intricately combined. I teach them almost, the first class is basically support. Then we do a little bit of support, and then we deal with the vocal tract and the open throat. You see, your throat will not be open if you tense your abdomens, these muscles here.
Mhm.
My throat is closed. Okay, now I'm going to relax. Now, if I go, "Ah," as I go up, it gets closed, more and more closed,
Mhm.
because I have no muscles. I'm not using the right muscles. I'm not using muscles where we think, if we really. When I first got to Paraguay, I was working with this UniNorte Opera, and one guy said to me, "Hit me here," and he was so proud that he was so tight here. And a few years later, he had no nodules.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, it's a natural thing.
yeah,
It's going to happen
yeah.
if we use tension. So,
So talk to us. Okay, so and it's the next comment, by the way, that's come in says,
yeah,
with every new exercise that you give us, Kathryn, we're going to go one step slower and we're going to ask you to demonstrate it a few times so that we can all practice it and build that muscle memory for ourselves. Uh,
okay, no, okay. I will do them all one more time. Okay,
okay, yeah.
okay, okay. What we did first of all, I in order to get the expansion here, we breathe. We bent over, right?
Hmm.
Inhale. Now hold that. Let it go. It goes down. It goes in, right? Inhale again. Let it go. Now stand up and holding it. Now, a lot of you, I can feel it, had tension here, right? Right here. When you did that. All right.
Hmm.
Okay, so I'm just going to go these quickly because I want to get to the vocal tract and the
Yes.
open throat right away.
Okay.
Okay, because those are integrally connected. Okay. All right. So let's do that. That we did that. And then oh, keeping the throat, keeping this open. Oh. Okay. Now sat in a chair, feet extended in front, Oh, oh.
Now
Which
hold up, Kathryn, you said feet extended in front. Like, are your feet straight in front of you? Yeah. Okay.
see, you're actually doing a little bit of
You
a
are,
circle. Now,
yeah.
if you really a macho
Yeah.
man, you can do them on the floor. I until I was 65, I got even 70. I got down on the floor and did sit-ups with my students. Then I found that we had a sofa in Paraguay, so I was in where I was teaching, and so I used the sofa. Just and it's much easier for me than getting
Yes.
off the
Yes.
floor. I hate that. Okay, okay. Now the other one, next one was chair sideways.
Right.
Okay, feet
Okay.
out. Oh, you can do both. Both of those are the same. If you feel a little bit insecure, you see, then you can use the back. In this one, you can use the back of the chair to help, at
Right.
least keep your balance. And some people use one or the other. Okay. The next one was the wall, right?
Right.
This part of the back right here is against the wall. You cannot, and you bend your knees in front of you. Maybe your feet are 2 feet, maybe in front of the wall. Now push them. Oh, then when you think you've mastered that, you can stand up, but keep the same form in your back. Oh, here, okay. All right.
Yeah. Do you see that half of our Zoom participants are now standing against the wall?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
it's
absolutely
logical.
are.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay.
Is
So
that is that is that enough on the matter of support?
category A, support. Okay. We've got a set of
All right.
exercises. So
Now,
now we move to,
now we move to the vocal tract. Okay, now this is chapter 3 of my book, or video 3 of my series under Kathryn Kasper under YouTube. Okay, this is the material on that. Okay, first of all, we have to deal with the larynx, the tongue, and the pharynx. Okay, what is the pharynx? The pharynx is that back wall as you look in your mouth. Okay. Now let's just deal with let's touch here. Touch your larynx. Okay. Now swallow. Open your mouth and inhale at the same time. Okay, what happened in your throat? Your larynx went down a little bit, didn't it? And it opened. That is the form that the larynx has to maintain while you're singing.
so walk us through that one more time. So
Okay,
you're opening
you
your,
touch here, you touch your larynx,
Mhm.
swallow, inhale and open your mouth, and exhale and inhale in that space. There should be no sound, no sound at all.
Mhm. Tell us about that. Why no sound? What are you doing when you are making a lot of sound?
Your cords are tensing, they are closing, and so the air is forced through them. Hear
Hmm.
it?
Hmm.
That's bad because what that does is dry out the cords.
Hmm.
See, so there's a couple of reasons not to do that. The major one is it dries out the cords, but the second is your cords are closed, and then your support does not work. The air does not work because the cords are closed. Okay, it's like that. The cords are closed in the front, open in the back. Okay, exhale and inhale with now inhale and exhale with noise. You feel the difference?
Hmm.
Okay, see, you're not using the right muscles. Okay, we have to remember what these muscles are. This is part of another part of the muscle memory. Okay. Okay, the next is the tongue. The tongue, when it's at rest, should be right behind the upper edge of the bottom teeth. Okay. Now push it against the teeth. Okay, now widen the tongue to the molars. Now behind the molars, widen it more. Now inhale and exhale. You see, you got almost the same. The tongue is what controls, basically, the form of the larynx. All right, now let's deal with the third part there. The pharynx, that back wall, it's inflexible of its own. But my husband did a lot of work with the Alexander technique, and some of you probably know something about that also. Okay, one of the movements, the first movement is related to the support, and that is the expansion in the back. Okay, now we're going to move the head. Okay, I'm gonna here's me. Okay, now I'm going to move it back a little bit and raise my head. Okay. Now what did we do? We made a little bit more space. Okay, let's just say here are the chords. Here's the pharynx. By moving the spine a little bit back, I got a little bit more space behind the vocal folds. And I have, but this is the pharynx. Okay, here's the uvula and this palate. I'm great at fingers. I know. Okay, and here and above the soft palate and the uvula, it arches a little bit because of the connection to the cranium. Okay, so we have this space. We have a little bit more space there. Okay. Okay, now let's try to integrate it with the swallow. Swallow, inhale, open your mouth, move your head back a little bit, touch your tongue to the teeth. Oh, yeah.
And we're building a big resonant cavity for our sound.
No, not okay. We want to talk about that. Okay, because we don't want to think of a big resonant cavity. The matter of that soft palate. Okay, now shall I go on or shall I repeat some of this? What do you think?
What do we want, friends? Do we need to go on or we need to repeat? We're going on. Thumbs up or going on. Okay, votes are going on.
We're going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have this form. Okay. All right. We haven't talked with the soft palate and how you find your soft palate. Okay. Put your tongue on your top teeth at the back, and I'll move it to the back until you hear a click. You hear that? That's a soft palate. At the end of the soft palate is the uvula. You know, that little guy that when I was a child, we'd call it the little tongue. We'd like to look in each other's mouths and see that little tongue, you know. Okay. That little tongue hanging down is what raises the soft palate. Not And how do we get that? Okay. The form. Okay. I read this in a manuscript, I think at KU probably. The old Italian way of inhalation and dealing with resonance is, okay, pretend this is a flower. Okay, I'm putting it in front of my nose. I'm going to inhale with my mouth, but I'm going to smell the rose. Now, what happened inside there? It didn't go, did it? It went like this. Okay, you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
That's from the 1700s. That's the way they taught resonance in the 1700s. And nothing has changed. You know, our anatomy has not changed. So what do? We think of a triangle in there. The soft palate is that itty bitty little point at the top. The sides are like curtains that are hanging down. Okay, do it again. Okay, now breathe in through your mouth, but smell the rose. Okay, what kind of a sound does that? Okay, now let me demonstrate. Okay, let's do it. what happened to my voice? The quality changes, didn't it?
Hmm.
Okay. First of all, when we think of raising the cheekbones and making a big cavity back here, it kind of has a form of a rectangle. Think of it as a rectangle. Now, what we want is that. Okay. So, what has to happen? These, you see, as the uvula goes down, this raises. And we control that by pulling the uvula down. Pull it down. There. You see, the
Hmm.
space that we're dealing with is back here against the pharynx, between the uvula and the pharynx, not here.
I don't think anyone has ever described it to me that way, Kathryn. It makes so much sense when you say that, and I don't think I've ever thought about it that way.
This is I had to invent these things. Nobody taught me either.
Sort of the combination of all kinds of wisdom over many years of learning and studying and doing, right?
Yeah, people in Paraguay are crazy about the soft palate. You know, and then you sing in front of the soft palate. You see,
Mm-hmm.
instead of in back of the soft palate.
Back of the soft palate. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. Okay, so the questions that are coming in are it's just two. One set and one is old. It said from the first part around support, it said I had a choir director who would say, "Spread your ribs" when we were about to sing,
Yeah,
which sounds about
that's
right.
good. But how do you maintain it? That is the biggest problem. See, I heard all of my life. Okay, maintain the ribs in a position of inhalation. But my ribs always went, yeah.
Right.
I couldn't figure it out until
Right.
up and in.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so the next question is, should we swallow every time we start to sing?
No, not necessarily. Okay,
Okay.
okay. Let's just without swallowing. But that is just a way to get to learn the form that is in the larynx. Okay. See, when if I swallow, and then I get everything together with through muscle memory. See, you have to, but you don't have to sing all the time. You can just simply go, okay, again, again, again. You're learning muscle memory. This is your these are your yeah
Yep. That's
free
the flow.
throws.
Yep. So, clarification question, and I'm not sure it necessarily matters, but a question has come in. Is it up and in or in and up, or are they interchangeable to some extent?
It's up and in.
Up and
Okay,
in. Okay.
up. But see, okay, this here, right here. Are you seeing? Am I seeing this game?
Yep.
You
Yep.
see, this is in, right? Which by going in, it pushes up on the internal organs, which pushes up on the diaphragm, which makes the air go out. I don't exhale. I don't inhale. I let the movements of my body inhale and exhale. See, so if I okay, and another problem we all have, and I have this problem. I find myself doing this. Because I've done it for 100 years. Um, okay, I'm pushing the air, right? It's strident. I have a strident quality. Okay, I don't push the air. The air goes up. You see, it's not a matter of pushing, and it does not use more air as we go up. The upper it uses more support, but it doesn't take more air. So if I think, okay, and I'm going to do this. I pushed on that top note, didn't I?
Mm.
Pushed more
Yep.
air, and
Yep.
it gets strident, and normally it gets a little out of tune. That's why sopranos have because they think they have to push more air, and they get out of tune so
Hmm.
easily in those upper. I heard a concert just this last year in Paraguay. A woman had come from Italy, and she was really pretty world famous. But she sung with Pavarotti. No, with Placido Domingo is who she sung with. So she was at you know her upper. She had some physical problems. I forget what. I think she had breast cancer, and so she was feeling a little bit, out of control of what. It didn't feel normal to her, and her top notes were all. What do we do? What do we do? We push air. They
Yeah.
were all a little out of tune.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so questions are coming in again about the passaggio. Please, 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 let's talk about this. But before we
Yeah.
do, there's another question that says, is there an exercise to help feel the uvula going down? It's a bit confusing.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Oh, you can do that. But you see, okay, just simply open your mouth, move your head back, hold on, okay? Tongue is wide, gotta be up of you. The uvula is like in the middle of that V, right there. Down.
Oh, when you do it that way, I can hear it. I can absolutely hear it happening. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And see, let me do that again. Okay, I'm going to start it with a box. By pulling the uvula down, it relaxes those sides. You see, if you think of, okay, think of those sides of that box. Okay, what are they doing? Uh-huh.
It's that that's there's a lot going on there.
Oh,
So
yes. You see, what I taught you is about a semester worth of work.
gonna say, Robert, I feel like I'm with you a little bit. If this is like 4 layers deep of thinking about all of this, I think that's okay at this stage. But you're right,
That's
that
right.
because there's
It's
a
too
lot
much.
of layers there. I love it. No, no, it's not too much. It's fantastic. And Robert just said, "Yep, thanks." This is
Oh,
good.
okay.
This is good.
You
All
see,
right, Kathryn, can we talk about so first of all, there are all of these terms in vocal production and singing that can feel really intimidating at the beginning. And one of those terms is passaggio. Can you explain this, what it literally means, and why we use it in singing and what we're talking about?
okay, the passaggio. Okay, let me explain where they are and what is the deal on these. Okay, men basically have one passaggio. It is right above middle C, around D flat to F sharp.
Okay, wait, back up, Catherine. Wait, back up for a minute. What does passaggio mean, literally?
It means a passage. It just means
Yeah,
passage.
exactly. It's a
Passage.
passage between
A
sort of.
one. Okay, actually, the chords do function differently in the different
Mhm.
registers. Okay, we're talking about registers and the movement in between them.
Right.
Okay, and so the where was I going with that?
We
Uh,
sometimes talk about like head voice and chest voice or chest
okay,
voice
head
and
voice. Okay,
yep,
okay,
right. And
and
the
head voice.
pistachio
Okay,
is that like how do you get from one to the other? The pathway from one to the other. Yeah?
okay. Women have two passagios. All
Right.
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 Don't we have to think of that? Men have the falsetto also, but
Right.
that we don't call that a passaggio.
Right.
The way this passage I have discovered, and especially with my popular singers, that they can sing from their chest voice to the falsetto without a break. That is our goal. Okay.
That's cool.
And I always use glissandos. You know the glissando or portamento? Oh,
Mm, absolutely.
oh. That's a fifth is the first one. Okay. Oh. Now it's very important. The vowel is a part of this also. the vowel has to change quality as the voice changes quality. Okay, now I'm going to keep my ah the same. Okay. Ah. Okay, now I'm going to let the ah, it's a migration of the vowel, if you like. I like that word. It migrates. The sound migrates. Ah. See, the I was different at the bottom than it was at the top. It was still an ah,
Mm-hmm.
but it had a different quality. Oh.
And so how do we reproduce that magic that you're doing right now, Kathryn?
Okay, it's just by repetition. It is again repetition.
Okay.
You won't get it the first time you do it, but if you'll continue. Now, let's do going back a little bit. Okay, if I take a mirror, okay, I can use my cellular because we all have cellular
Cell
these days.
phone.
You can look in your mouth. Okay, okay, you're gonna put that in front of your mouth. Uh-huh. Now I'm gonna do a glissando. I don't have my cell here, obviously. Oh, I have to be able to see the pharynx all the time I'm doing that. If the tongue goes up, oh, I won't see my pharynx. But if I can keep that tongue in that its original position and just simply, how do we change the pitches now? Okay, the pitches basically I think are more. Your brain is much smarter than your throat. Don't do it in your throat. Think it. Oh, and be flexible. Let your tongue move a little bit front, not up. Oh, okay, you don't want that. Oh,
Okay, say that last part again. What you do want and what you don't want with your tongue.
you don't want your tongue at the back to go up.
Oh, okay.
You want your tongue to remain down in the back. Okay. Now,
We are
with
all practicing
women,
this. You can't necessarily see all the pictures, but I am seeing so many people practicing this right now. Because when you raise your tongue in the back, that's a form of tension, right?
yeah, you see what you're doing when you do that. It's you raising your larynx.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, just do it. Okay, put your fingers here.
Right.
Okay, now do it with your tongue raised as you go. Oh, you feel that?
Totally feel that. Yeah.
Okay, now make it stay the same. Okay, now we're gonna breathe in without any sound. Uh-huh. Now think of the pharynx is going back. Oh.
That's so interesting. Can you guys feel it as if it gets tense? Yes, I'm seeing heads nod. So many heads nodding. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and see, okay, what? Okay, do we go there or not?
Well, let me ask you the question that got put in the chat,
Okay,
Kathy.
you'll go ahead with the questions. Yeah,
So the Joe asked, so women don't have a passaggio. If that's true, what's going on with my voice? So
you
answer,
have two passagios. Women
right.
have two.
Women don't have one. We have two.
Yeah.
Two places. Joe
Okay.
just went, what?
I'm a mezzo. Okay, I'm a mezzo,
Okay.
and okay, I'm going to sing the way. Okay, at the top of my register. I mean, it's between. I'll sing about a C to a G. I don't
Okay.
have perfect pitch, but I'll kind of if it. I kind of ballpark it. Okay, what did I do? I raised, okay, and it got really loud and
Mhm.
and okay, that will limit how high I can sing. But if
Mhm.
I made my tongue stay down, and I just moved the tongue a little bit front and the pharynx a little bit back, and it went.
Um, is it fair to say that we can guesstimate approximately where, on what notes the passaggio might show up?
Yeah, it will be up. Okay, or it will be if I use the bottom. Oh, there was a woman early in the 20th century. Her name was Lottie Lehman, I think.
Oh, yes.
All right.
I like that last
She,
name for the record.
she yes, I do too. She uh, was a teacher, a voice teacher, and a very famous singer. She was from Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that every pitch and every vowel has its own quality. It isn't that we go, oh, we don't hold anything solid. That's what causes the problems. If we use tension and to hold something. Now, yeah, let me just, this is another, okay. Between the tongue and the larynx, there are muscles that connect the two, right? Because the tongue can move. See, if I put my finger here and I move my tongue, I'm going up behind the jawline. Here, see? It
Mm-hmm.
moves it, right? Okay. Oh, yeah. Now, think that there are two pillars or two pins in there that connect them. And those pins have to stay separated. What? Uh, Now, let's do a glissando again. Oh. See, it naturally changes quality.
So this is so interesting, Kathryn, because we, in one of our maybe even research master classes, many months ago, we met with a gentleman named Dr. Colin Boothby, who had been working on how our bodies and voices change, how our voices change as our bodies age.
Yeah.
The exercises, the three exercises, four technically that he gave us, were to sustain a pitch in a comfortable range on a partially occluded vowel or a partially occluded sound as long
Yeah.
as you can. So, ooh, as long as you can. And the second one was to slide up. And the third one was to slide down, which as singers we pair together. And the fourth one then was to circle back around and hold that tone again on an open vowel. Oh, yeah, exactly. And so that, you're using the word glissando, right?
Uh-huh.
Another delightful Italian word that we use in music.
Passaggio. I
Yep.
mean, portamento. Yeah.
Right, portamento. And we talk about slides, but those exercises back to back, holding that sustained, partially occluded, sliding up and sliding down, and then holding it on an open vowel are proven ways to strengthen our voice. So what's interesting to me is you're talking about finding ways to navigate your passaggio better, that break point between your two registers. And he's saying yes, and it strengthens your voice. So these exercises are good in a whole variety of ways, which is just so cool. I love that. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so Anne is asking, are there any anatomical differences between a soprano voice and an alto voice?
Okay, not really. The chords perhaps are a little bit thicker, you know, and we have a different quality, a very thin, as we, the change of the pitch, okay, is partially is a thinning of the chords. The arytenoids move a little bit back, and they are at the end of the inner end, the back end of the chords, and they make them thinner and longer. It's not like a piano. A piano, the thicker and the longer are the bass notes, right? The longer ones are the bass notes. The
Mhm,
but when we lengthen them, then they get thinner.
mhm,
Okay. And another thing that helps with this is the movement, the the rocking of the thyroid cartilage on the cricoid cartilage. We can get very technically on these things,
no
and it
idea what you
doesn't
said.
need to be that way for your level. But this is how we change pitches. So It is a physical thing we do, but our job as a singer is to keep the space and the right muscles engaged. And those are what we have to find out what they are. And that's what you do. That's why you're an athlete, because you have to repeat it enough times so that it stays.
Build that muscle memory. Absolutely. So, okay, circle back with me for a second. I read somewhere, and it may be completely wrong, that the passaggio, the break, happens often for sopranos and altos around a C or a D above middle C,
Yeah,
and the C or the D right, like an octave higher.
that's right. Yeah, I was saying a D flat to the G F sharp,
Yeah.
somewhere in that area, and it can go down to a C. A very low bass will have probably a C, but it doesn't really make that much difference. We
Right.
we simply learn to manipulate the chord, the space, and don't give up. Don't
Yeah.
let if you feel tension within your vocal tract. The vocal
Yeah.
tract is from here to here. Okay, that's all it is. And if you feel tension, or you feel tension, or you feel a strident quality, move. That's your biggest friend. Move something.
Move
Something. You
some.
can
Oh,
open
I
your
see what you're
jaw a
talking.
little bit more. You move your tongue to the front. You move your head to the back. Move. You see, we get all caught up in wanting to control. And then that's when we have problems.
Because tension is a killer, right? In
That is
all of this.
correct.
Yep.
And you see, it isn't that we have old chords. As we age, sometimes our coordination doesn't quite. See, a person can, like you see, I sang in tune until I was about 50, and then all of a sudden I couldn't sing in tune. It was because we we tuned the vocal tract, and I was using more and more tension as I went toward menopause,
Mhm.
and so it creates problems, and then we have to
Wow.
find solutions.
The nods of
It doesn't
affirmation.
matter. It's not, oh, I can't sing.
Yeah.
I have to just learn what muscles I have to use.
Yeah. I love that wisdom, Catherine, of if you're feeling the tension, if you know that there's tension, move something. It's just like don't just sit there and say this isn't working, but move something, change something. When I learned that the passaggio is often around that D, it changed how I run auditions. I'm going to be honest with you, because when I'm doing a vocal check with a singer, often we get to that first passaggio and we're like, I'm done.
Yeah. Mhm.
And what I have learned to say is, it's bumpy here, keep going. Because then people find then that next register and are just fine. For many more notes, many more steps. And just being able to say, yep, you've hit a bumpy spot, but keep going because you're
Yeah.
not necessarily at your top, has been really helpful. Okay, so someone has asked, can you please talk through the 4 steps? So just for a minute, the exercises that we did with Dr. Colin Boothby, we can do them together. So we're going to pick a note sort of in the middle of our range, and we're going to use something that is a partially occluded sound. What does that mean? So it means it's partly closed, right? So an ah is not occluded. It's wide open. When you take that and you close it mostly, oh, that's a partially occluded. Buzzing or lip trills, definitely partially occluded, right? Anything
Yeah.
like that, a V, anything like that. So you can do anything like that on a pitch that's comfy in your range for as long as you can. So you take a deep breath in. Ooh. And here is where I always say it is not a competition with your neighbor. You are just in competition with your former self, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So then we do slides, and we're going to start as low as we can, and we're going to go as high as we can, and we're going to come back down as low as we can. So we're going to go.
Uh-huh. Okay. Now see, I would like to add to that.
Yes, please.
Okay, is do it on an ah, and see your uvula and your pharynx the whole time. Oh,
So you start on the ah vowel.
I would start on the open vowels, is what I would do. For me,
Okay.
for a choir, you don't need long phrases. We can breathe whenever we want, right?
Lean on
Except
your
for where the director says, do not breathe here. Okay.
I was going to say, Kathryn will need to talk about that later, but yes, mostly.
Okay. So a lot of people really glom onto that idea of being able to hold things for forever, that
Yeah.
this is a real virtue. It isn't a virtue. It just simply is. It's something. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not that important. That isn't what was really important. If we can learn to use the right muscles, then things fall into place.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, here we go. You ready for another round of questions?
Yeah.
This one says, were you referring to Lotte Kenya, Austrian singer married to Kurt Weill? Oh, interesting. Best
No,
known.
no, no, not her. Not her.
This is a different person. Yeah.
This is a different Lottie. I see that she was not a. She really had a really ugly voice, but she was a fabulous performer. I
Fabulous
loved her.
performer. Yeah.
I love the music of Kurt Weill.
Yes.
One of my
Yes.
all-time favorite. Yeah,
Yes.
that is a different one.
Martha says, I have been an alto since early childhood, and I've been told that I have a low, hard palate, dentist's remark to me. So I wonder whether that limits my higher notes in my head voice. With work, I can be a mezzo, but my chest voice is really my best.
Okay, let's talk about the head versus chest register. Okay, and another, the hard palate is just simply there. Okay, just it doesn't move. The hard pellet, we're stuck with it. Whatever we've got, we've got.
Yep.
Okay. The other parts that we're talking about, the lips, I haven't even talked hardly about the lips. Anyway, okay. So they everything else can move, but that. Okay. Now, Heston Chet. Okay. The chest voice has what I would call power.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. And the head voice has beauty. Okay, so now if I go, oh, I'm using a lot of chest all the way up, right? All right.
Mhm.
Now, if I do that same scale in only head, oh, that's a different sound. All right. Now, let's try to meld the two registers. As you're going down, you use more chest. As we go up, we use more head. But we don't switch. We don't go, oh, okay. That was terribly out of tune, but that's okay. You got the point. It
Mhm.
was,
Yeah.
at least Kathryn did. I don't know about the rest of you. Okay. Anyway, so what I want to do is okay. Oh, that is mainly a lot of chest. Oh, head. Oh, I move my lips out. Oh, and I get more head.
You move your lips out
Okay,
and you get
watch.
your
Watch my
head.
lips.
Say more about that, Kathryn.
Oh, did
Do
you
it
hear
again.
different?
I do hear a difference.
Oh,
I've never thought of it as lip movement.
yeah. The lips. Okay. The vocal tract is very short. It's about 8 inches long. The vocal tract are from the cords to the end of the lips.
Okay. Yep.
Now, okay, so okay, we got that. Okay, so if the way we lower this a little bit is by swallowing.
Hmm.
What we did a long time ago. What makes the chords stable at a little bit lower level? Okay, but my lips, by going, they make the vocal tract longer in the front.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
here's my flat.
Hmm.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want to be tense, you know.
Right, right,
But
right.
you see,
Okay.
I remember. Okay, this is just an illustration of something. One of my students, he was a pop singer. I said, "You need to think of your mouth as oval shaped, like a fish." He says, "Oh, that feels weird." And I said, "Go look in the mirror. Go look in." I didn't have a mirror in my office at that point. So he went out to the bathroom, looked in the mirror. He said, "Oh, that's the way Elvis looks when he sings."
Right. Okay.
Uh-huh. The mouth. It's a fish mouth. It's not.
Right. We talk about long vowels all the time.
Keep your tongue against your teeth. Oh, oh.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, see, this is all about tuning the vocal tract. You know, if I really, I have no sound at all virtually. You know, if I don't. Now I'm going to lower my uvula. See, I'm dealing with the vocal tract. And it's a gift and a curse for us. Because now, if you think of a trombone, for instance, you know, it has a long vocal tract,
hmm
but the sides are not flexible, right?
Interesting. Right. Okay. Yeah.
A clarinet, just think of a clarinet. That's
Yeah.
only about this long. You
Yeah.
know, it has secure sides, and you can't change that.
hmm hmm
And so, but we can change. We can
Right.
change a lot of stuff, and that's why I say it's a curse and a blessing.
Okay. So speaking of change, Stacy says, I'm a beginner singer and my throat feels sore after rehearsal. Is this because I'm carrying too much tension in my throat and need to learn more mechanics of singing?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. If after a 2-hour rehearsal, you should be able to feel fine.
Got it.
My choir that we deal with in Paraguay, they're fine after 2 hours. Nobody has sore throats. They used to.
Yeah.
My popular singers, they came to me because after a concert, they're singing all night long. They can hardly talk.
hmm
You know, it's the same thing.
hmm So the better you get at your technique and the more you can release that tension, the longer you should be able to sing. You know, it was interesting to me when I learned, I knew that opera singers were still often working with vocal coaches, but you look at somebody, we had kids not that long ago who followed popular singers. When you find out that somebody like Justin Bieber or pop singers have a vocal coach that they're working with all the
Yeah.
time in order to make sure that they can sing at the level that they do without ruining or damaging their voice,
Yeah.
it makes a big difference. Okay, so Anne says, so if you're trying to sustain a note and you feel if you're running out of air, what physically do you do to keep going? In
Okay, you take a breath,
breath.
or okay, you take a breath. Just okay, doesn't make any difference. But what will help you to get through a phrase is expanding your back as you're more. As you're running out of breath, expand your back. That puts the air under more pressure and doesn't let it go out so fast.
Wild. So, so I was just doing this and exhaling and thinking about expanding my back as I did it, and I can feel it.
Uh,
That is wild, Kathryn. All right, think about expanding your back, friends. I love that.
yeah,
Sandra says, I have bad allergies. Does the drainage damage my vocal cords?
it can. It can make them red. It can, if there's a lot of drainage. I have drainage all the time. You know, it's my nose kind of drips 365 days a year, sometimes 366. And so it just, but you learn to deal with it. Um, I really am a big believer in vitamins and doing, what you have to do. And because you don't want to take antihistamines because antihistamines dry out your throat. There are certain ones that I know I am not in that in the United States. When I was before I went to Paraguay, uh, they have different allergies down there. There was a certain, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was one that you could use if you were a singer. It wouldn't dry out your throat. Uh, and I can't tell you what it is right now. Because I forgot what it was. It was
I'm
so.
seeing people raise their hands. So friends, if you know that, put it in the chat. Because I know that that's right. I know that my eye doctor recommended one kind versus another for the same reason, for the drying
Yeah.
out. So friends, if you know that, put it in the chat. Okay, so this person says, what can I do when my voice sounds gravelly, which happens frequently on lower notes? I'm an alto one.
Okay. It's a matter of keeping that openness. Shall I talk about this? Okay, shall we talk about the false vocal folds? Because gravelly, see, certain popular singers like that gravelly sound, right?
Mhm.
Now, if I do this, I'm talking with my false vocal folds. You hear them? You see, the false vocal folds can come into play, and that will add that gravelly sound to your voice. Some people like some pop singers just I don't know how they sing in the long run. They may not sing in the long run, maybe, but they do that to a degree. And so in my book, I really recommend if you're going to use that, use it sparingly, Okay. But here are the chords. Okay. They're inside there. The chords
Bring
are
up a little bit, Catherine. There we go. Yep, there you go.
they're like this. Okay. This is another one like this over here. Okay. Here are the chords. This is a curtain here that's closed. And within that curtain, which is a muscle, are the false vocal folds there on the side. Now, if you start a cough, okay, start a cough. You
Mhm.
feel those soft parts coming together? Those are the false vocal folds. They're very essential. They hypertense the vocal folds, is what they do. And they come together. And okay, we use them when they go to the bathroom also, see, which hypertenses, think of that, this
Uh-huh.
coming in. And I remember singing a phrase. And as I would sing the phrase, I would gradually feel these bumps coming up. It felt soft, and I thought, oh, that's good. That's protecting my vocal cords. Ha! It's
Mhm.
hypertensing your vocal folds.
Okay.
So you've got to keep them out of play.
Okay.
But go ahead and do it again. Start a cough. Don't cough. You feel that soft part come together.
Uh-huh.
Those are the false vocal folds.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now get them out of the way. Oh, salute.
Thank you.
Oh, now, okay, now relax your throat and you'll feel these bumps coming up. Oh, it needs to feel flat in there. Flat. No bumps.
That's such an interesting way to you can really get a feel for that. That coughing mechanism makes it really clear,
Yeah.
preparing for a cough. Oh, that's so interesting, Catherine.
I love,
Okay.
I didn't even, I knew about the false vocal folds. And, and when I was at Bethel, I teach vocal pedagogy quite often. And
Yeah.
every year I would take my class to an ENT in Wichita and she would
Yeah.
scope them, you know? And
Yeah.
and one time one of my students was being scoped and the doctor said, "Look at this. You see those? Those are the false vocal folds coming up." I went, "Oh my."
Oh,
It was just like the lights are on finally, you know?
I just found somebody on YouTube who talks to you with a sensor up her nose or sometimes down, and
Yeah.
she can say, "This is my this," and she's moving it around. Do you see that? This is this. It's crazy, and incredibly informative in a variety
Yeah.
of ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so helpful. Okay, let's see. This person says, "My choir directors are now telling us to purse our lips." Is that what you're doing when you're moving your lips forward?
Not per. Not this. Okay,
Okay.
see? Not this.
Okay.
This
Okay.
fish, think of a fish mouth. Fish mouth, as I find, is most people can really, no, huh?
Oh, a fish. I
Maybe a
see.
fish don't go with this.
Like hooked by it.
Like this. Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
oh,
I
oh.
wish you, can I take a
What? Oh,
picture of the screen? I won't, friends, right now, but Kathryn right now are going.
you have to be careful. You don't want this. You see,
Right.
this is all tense right here.
Right. Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay, now, and as we go up normally, the
Uh-huh.
jaw drops a little bit more. Okay, 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 that helps a lot.
Right.
Now watch, I'm going to do something different. Watch.
You widen, lengthened. Uh-huh.
Huh? See, the
Uh-huh.
jaw goes down a little bit,
Yep.
but it doesn't go. I don't change this. Let's go back to the form of the soft palate because this is okay. Let's go back to the rose, the flower in front of the nose. Okay.
Oh, right.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Now touch right here. Inhale. Same sound. Same, isn't it? Now think of very narrow behind the nose. You see, all of those help shape
Okay.
that form of that triangle inside.
Yep. Yep. That triangle is such a good visual. I'm writing that down. Um,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
tri-
You see.
yeah.
Okay. Let's go through those three again. Okay. Here we go
Okay.
with the
Okay.
flower. Uh-huh. Touch here. People with TMJ, this helps a lot.
Oh, interesting. That the when your jaw is,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Now think nasal, right behind the nose, very, very narrow, narrow. You got a triangle, see that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
so you can do different things to help remember things.
Find that triangle. I love that. I love that so much. Okay, there's one more question in the chat. I have one more question for you, and then you're gonna help me connect to next month's masterclass, and you don't even know it yet.
Oh,
So
oh,
Marty put the name of the allergy medicine. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce it, friends, but go and look in the chat for that. John says, how about throat coat herbal tea? So yay tea, nay tea? Where do you sit on tea for singers?
you're fine. Do what feels good. You
Whatever
know,
works for you.
yeah,
Yep,
whatever
I love
works
it.
for you. I think every person is different. And so we have to say, yeah, we can certain things that we imbibe, help us. You hear about these opera singers who drink a flask of liquor before they go on stage.
Russian
Whatever works for you.
friends, do not come to your encore rehearsal having drunk a whole thing of liquor. No,
No, do not do
that's
that.
not
No,
what we're doing, especially not
no.
if you drive there.
It
Um,
may be just
all right, so my question for you is, and before we transition to the next artistic masterclass for next month, because you happen to know our next artistic masterclass teacher.
uh-huh.
Uh-huh. My question for you is some of our singers sing in chorale, and
Yeah,
as we know, singing Bach or Mozart has one kind of sort of tone quality to it. And some of our singers are rockers or in Broadway. So
yeah.
if you are coaching somebody, and some of our singers sing in chorale and rocks, or wait for it, we have a handful who are in chorale and rocks and Broadway. Yes.
Uh-huh.
He's like all three, my friend, all
Yeah.
three.
Uh-huh.
Um, so how would you encourage them in 2 minutes or less to make that sort of more rock or Broadway sound in a safe way?
Yeah. You the form is crucial. You do not let anything collapse inside.
Mm, okay.
Okay, the form, the these pins, these can help you a lot. This a lot of people glom onto that, and that really, really helps no matter what kind of style you're singing. You can maybe you want to sound a little bit more like Elvis, and then you go, more into the lower qualities, or you want to go, up and you go up to a B flat, a guy, with, or it's just a matter of doing things so that they don't hurt you.
Hmm.
But and so that if you're starting to feel that pressure or the tension, pressure or tension, both of those are bad. Do something different.
I love that
Move.
advice. Like that's what I think I'm taking into my rehearsal more than anything is if I'm starting to feel a pressure or tension, change something, right? Move something. Um,
Move.
and if nothing else, I'll just start doing sit-ups in the middle of rehearsal. I love that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Kathryn, we didn't even get to talk in this last 2.5 minutes because we went like right into the vocal techniques and masterclass, and this has been enormously helpful. Like I have a whole page of notes. I've watched all of our musicians around us practicing right along with you and learning and growing. This is
Good.
so good. Next month's artistic masterclass features a family member of yours. And before we talk about that, I want to just give a shout out to your spouse, Arlo, who, when I was growing up, Arlo was Lincoln when we did Aaron Copland's Lincoln portrait.
Yeah.
So he is an actor and theater coach as well, and he was your stage manager tonight, fixed all of the lights and all of the things.
Yes.
He literally was unscrewing light bulbs to get the light just right, and friends. So you have a whole family in theater. And next month's masterclass is actually your daughter,
Yeah.
Rachel Kasper Fitzsimmons, who was
Fitzsimons.
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 Fitzsimons. I
It's
just
not a double M. Fitzsimons. Okay.
know her as Rachel
Very
Kasper.
particular about this.
I'm so glad to know that. Rachel was on Broadway in The Sound of Music, right? The traveling version of The Sound of Music,
And on Broadway also.
and
She
on Broadway.
she
Yeah.
was on for 25 years. She was on Broadway for 25 years.
So, Rachel is going to come and talk to us next month, not only with some vocal tips for us, but also about how you embody all of these different characters. How, when the music that you're singing doesn't necessarily feel like the person you are, how you can become that character for that piece or in that show. In The Sound of Music, she was not necessarily the most favorite person in The Sound of Music. Kathryn, do you remember who she was?
Schrader, Frau Schrader.
Yeah.
But
So,
she did one of the nuns also on Broadway. But
yes,
she did
yes.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
So, Kat, Rachel is going to come and talk to us next month, and I'm so excited to sort of bridge that between both of you because both of you are spectacular, and this has been amazing. So, friends, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Can I do a boost for my book? Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
In a couple, I have a video, Kathryn Kasper, on YouTube. But I'm getting a book out, and when the next couple, the name will be "Singing a Technical Guide," and all of this stuff is in there. And if you'll follow that guide, you will learn to sing correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kathryn, I have been at least 12 of the people watching your videos online because I sometimes just play them as I am working on something else or in the car on the way to rehearsal as I'm listening to you and catching little bits of wisdom about the passaggio and about support and all these things. So thank you for all of the ways that you contribute to this choral music experience that we all are getting to have. And thank you for
Thank you.
joining us this evening. This has been wonderful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so, so much, friends. We're going to stick around for 5 more minutes if you have any other questions. And otherwise, have a wonderful night. Bring all of these new terms and bits of wisdom into your rehearsals and singing, and have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.